So today we'll start new system. I guess your batch is 7 to 12 group.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So today we'll start nervous system. And before understanding the function of nervous system, आवाज सबको clear आ रही है?
Yes, sir.
जी sir.
Before understanding the function of nervous system, first we'll understand the anatomy or how the nervous system structured and connected to each other. So first we'll start with just a brief anatomy of the nervous system. Nervous system basically divided into two parts: central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. Okay, before going further is all description of nervous system. Just I want to questions what you know about nervous system. Anyone? What is the function of nervous system or brain?
Control all the activities.
Like what?
Sir, brain thoughts को, memory, emotions को, touch, vision scale, breathing और इस तरह के सारे फंक्शंस को कंट्रोल करता है और बैलेंसिंग के अंदर भी इन्वॉल्व होता है.
और
और हाँ, हाइपोकैम्पस हंगर के अंदर इन्वॉल्व होता है. हंगर के बारे में बताता है और बॉडी टेम्परेचर को भी कंट्रोल करता है.
और
हमारी स्किल्स को कंट्रोल करता है, बॉडी की स्किल्स को कंट्रोल करता है.
ओके जैसे
जैसे मीन्स एक सपोज करें एक मैन खड़ा है और अचानक वो मूवमेंट करता है और गिरने लगता है, तो हमारी बॉडी को बैलेंस में ले आने के लिए वो आता है नर्वस सिस्टम.
ओके और कोई बता सकता है और क्या क्या फंक्शंस है?
Motor functions. Simply, it has two parts:
ओके
central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. जो peripheral nervous system है वो coordination करता है and central nervous system जो है वो data process करता है.
ओके
सर नर्वस सिस्टम होल बॉडी को कोऑर्डिनेट करता है.
तो बेसिकली ब्रेन इन्वॉल्व इन ऑल फंक्शंस ऑफ द बॉडी. सो आपके बॉडी को बैलेंस करता है, वॉलंटरी मूवमेंट्स करता है, मेमोरी, थॉट प्रोसेस, एनालिसिस, कैलकुलेशंस, इमोशंस, बिहेवियर. Apart from this, it also performs homeostatic functions like hunger, thirst, maintenance of body volume, blood sugar. All those things also somehow regulated by the central nervous system or main brain. Okay, so we'll not go in detail about all those things. Here we'll talk about more where brain is directly involved. So before understanding these all functions, we must understand how brain is made of. What is the structure of the brain? Okay. So if you anatomically you see, this is anatomical division, functional division nahi hai, because they all are correlated to each other. Okay, so anatomically if you see division, it is divided into two parts: central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. Central nervous system which present in center of the body, like a head में brain है आपका, and then spinal cord जो पूरे spine में center में present है. So that forms the part of central nervous system. Well, peripheral nervous system which moves away from the center of the body, like a nerves. Either it can be cranial nerve or it can be a spinal nerve. That forms a part of peripheral nervous system. So central nervous system get output from the peripheral nervous system, input from the peripheral nervous system. They process their data and also send output through the peripheral nervous system. So actually peripheral nervous system is executing part, while central nervous system is processing, analysis and commanding part. Okay. So if you see the brain itself, central nervous system divided into brain and spinal cord, and if you see the brain itself, brain also divided into three parts. Forebrain, which is also divided into two parts, that is telencephalon, that is cerebrum, and diencephalon, that is a part of the forebrain which comprises of thalamus and hypothalamus. So if you see the cerebrum is more related to the sensory functions, motor functions, and behavior, even social behavior analysis, memory. While if you go to thalamus and hypothalamus, out of this, thalamus is more related to sensory and motor functions, which sends information to the cerebrum, while hypothalamus is more related to the homeostatic function, that is involuntary functions which occur in our body, which is we are not consciously aware. Then come to the midbrain, it is also called a mesencephalons, which is a connection between the hindbrain and forebrain. Hindbrain, if you see, are also called as a rhombencephalon, which is made up of pons, medulla oblongata, and cerebellum. Out of this, pons is more related to the cranial nerve functions and also related to the input goes to the thalamus and hypothalamus through the pons, while medulla oblongata is connection between the brain and spinal cord and cerebellum. Cerebellum is a separate part of the brain which has its own function. It is exclusively related to the motor function of the body, that is voluntary movements जो होता है, that it not directly control but it regulate or influence the motor functions of the body. Okay, so this is about the brain. Then come to the spinal cord. Spinal cord is a connection between the brain and peripheral nervous system. So it carries the information from the brain to the peripheral nervous system, and it also carries information from the peripheral nervous system to the brain. Okay, in the form of tracts. Then come to the peripheral nervous system. It is actually nerves which is arise either from the brain, then called as cranial nerves. So there are 12 pairs of the cranial nerves, and the nerves which arise from the spinal cord are called spinal nerves. And we had 31 pairs of the spinal nerves, and these nerves goes all over the body, and it can usually they are mixed or it can be pure sensory or pure motor. If they are sensory, they carries information from the whole body and send it to the spinal cord. From spinal cord it goes to the brain. Second thing, motor functions, it takes the input from the brain or analysis and order command from the brain, and it sends to the respective effector organs. It can be a gland or it can be a muscles and perform the functions. Example, suppose you had a scratch or you touch the hot object, so that is sensory input. It goes to the spinal cord, and output is flex your arm. So remove your arm from the that hot object. So this is how it goes, and this mechanism, when it doesn't involve the brain or it happens automatically with the voluntary movement, this mechanism also called as a reflex. So peripheral nervous system also plays very important role in reflex mechanisms. हम इस क्लास के एंड में अगर टाइम मिला तो we'll talk about a reflex mechanism also. Then come to the functional division of the brain. So functional division, it divide up upon the whether functions, whatever the functions brain perform. So if functions is voluntarily, which we are consciously aware, those functions are called somatic functions, and where we don't consciously aware, that those functions are called autonomic functions. So there are two divisions: somatic nervous system and autonomic nervous system. In this somatic nervous system, it again divided into two parts, where we get input, that is called sensory nervous system, where we carry the information from the different part of the body, external environment, in the form of sensory receptors, and the sensory receptors receive those inputs and send it to the nerves, and from peripheral nerves it goes to the spinal cord, and from spinal cord it goes to the brain. So that forms a sensory nervous system. Second part division is motor nervous system, where once you get input on all those things, you analyze and you decide what to do with that input or information, how to react to that information or how to respond to that information will be done by this central nervous system, and then it sends command to the motor division, that is motor nervous system. And it can be command can be like a flex your arm or extend your arm or increase secretion or decrease secretion, or all those things will be there. That will be done by this motor nervous system. Apart from this, it may coordinated movement. Now see, I am talking to you is motor activity. So if you see, my major function of talking is related to vocal cord and movement of the lips and tongues, but still my hand is moving. So this is coordination between the different part of the body movement, so that your performance or your work will be done more effectively. So this coordination, all those things also be done by this motor nervous system, and this involves various parts in motor nervous system like motor cortex, basal ganglia, cerebellum, spinal cord, and again the peripheral nervous system. So these all together will form a motor nervous system. Then second part is autonomic nervous system. Autonomic nervous system are the system which involve where we are not consciously aware of those system. One minute. So this autonomic nervous system, and it executes the involuntary functions which we are not consciously aware. Like you are not consciously aware of your heart rate, or you are not consciously aware कि मेरे पेट में digestion कैसे हो रहा है, or you are not consciously aware what is my blood pressure or my blood sugar level. So all these functions are performed by autonomic nervous system. It actually part of the homeostasis mechanism, and it try to maintain our internal environment. And these functions are performed by the smooth muscles of the viscera or blood vessels, then activity of the cardiac muscles, or increase or decrease the secretions from the various glands. This autonomic nervous system also related to activities of different systems like digestion, circulation, excretion, respiration, reproduction, and also with the secretion of the different glands. This is totally involuntary. You cannot control the autonomic nervous system, and autonomic nervous system also divided into two different parts. One is sympathetic and another is parasympathetic. Sympathetic, when your body need instant response, immediate action is required. That time, the sympathetic nervous system become active, and parasympathetic is when you need to maintain your body for long term. There is no instant response, but maintenance of the body procedure will be there. Then that time of the parasympathetic response will be there. And the sympathetic parasympathetic has their own output. Sympathetic division, also called thoracolumbar, and it usually output comes from the chains which parallel to the thoracic vertebra and lumbar vertebra. So, and this is called sympathetic chain or sympathetic ganglionic chain. And from that, the sympathetic output goes to the all over the body. If you see the parasympathetic outflow, it is made up of two parts. One is the cranial part, so it comes from the output comes from the cranial nerves, that is third, seventh, ninth, and 10th cranial nerves, and also sacral part. So it is also called as a craniosacral division. Sacral part, from sacral nerves, it forms the ganglions, and it goes to the lower abdominal organs like urinary bladder, ureter, uterus. In those anus, sphincters, and all those things. Yeah, on lower one third of the GI tract is involved in this sacral part, while other cranial part is supplied by all upper part of the autonomic nervous part system of the body. Now come to the, if you know this about the central nervous system of brain, we will learn detail when we are talking about individual functions. Like if you say motor functions, then we'll talk about the motor cortex, and when you're talking about sensory function, then we'll talk about sensory cortex. But the spinal cord is a connection between the central nervous system of brain with the peripheral nervous system, and it plays a very important role. So first we'll talk about the details about the spinal cord, or if we could able to finish the spinal cord within the time span, then we can talk about the reflexes. involved in nervous system. So if you see the spinal cord, it extends from the upper border of the first vertebra and goes till about the L1 or L2 level of the lumbar vertebra. Maybe the border between L1 and L2. So it is the lower border of the first lumbar vertebra. After that, it will be there. And it is also a continuous part of the medulla oblongata, and also end of the part which sends a little bit enlargement, and it releases the various nerves, and it looks like a tail of the horse, and that's why it is also called as a phylum terminale. So it is tail of the portion will be look lower, and that portion is called phylum terminalis. Out of this, if you see, there is a swelling enlargement in cervical region and lumbar region. In this, it provides a sympathetic output during this region, and it sends output to the other part. And also, this enlargement is also for the supplement of the limbs. So the C3 to T2 will supply to the upper limb, while this lumbar region will supply to the lower limb. So because of that, there is a more nervous involvement. That's why there is a enlargement. If you see the cross section of the spinal cord, so this is a complete structure, and outer portion is called white matter, while inner portion is gray matter. If you know, white matter is related to quad equina. White matter means it is about axons. Myelinated or myelinated axons, they look like a more whitish structure. So these are all made up of axons, and axons are nothing but the tracts, while gray matters are made up of the body of the neuron or nuclei of the neurons, and that's why they are called. They look more grayish in the center. So in the spinal cord, central portion is a gray matter, outer portion is a white matter. While if you see in the brain, outer portion is the gray matter, and inner portion is a white matter. And if you see the structure of the gray matter, it is somewhere like a H shape, or you can call it as a butterfly shape, and which has a central hole, continuous hole going from the medulla till the lower portion of the spinal cord, and that is called central canal, and which contain cerebrospinal fluid. All the layer of the brain, while pia, arachnoid matter, subarachnoid matters, and all those things will be continuously coming with the spinal cord also, and protect the spinal cord from the injury. Dura matter, arachnoid matter, pia matter will be also there. Now come to the spinal gray matter. If you see the spinal gray matter, it has a three type of the horn: dorsal horn, lateral horn, and ventral horn. Dorsal horn is more related to the projected from the S shape and gray each other, while this lateral horn is more related to the sympathetic output, and ventral horn is more related to the motor output. Okay, and there is a connection between this left side and the right side through the two cord of the gray matter surrounding the canal, and they are called gray commissure. So anterior portion को बोलते हैं anterior gray commissure, and posterior portion को will call posterior gray commissure. Now if you see the white matter surrounded, there will be the sulcus in the posterior side. It is called posterior median sulcus. So while there is a fissure on the anterior side, that is called anterior median fissure. That will separate the white matter also. So and if you see the neurons present in the different groups in the gray horn, gray matters, and those are medial, lateral, and central groups, which are present in these gray matters. And if you talk about the dorsal horn neurons, so there will be a unicular neuron which present in dorsal horn. So here it will present somewhere here internucleal nucleons, and then there are various tract cells also present, and which goes outside the spinal cord and arrange itself in the tract surrounding the this gray matter. Then, if you structurally, if you see the different, this can be divided into form of the nucleus, or it can be divided into form of the lamina. So, lamina will divide into in Roman numbers from lamina 1 to lamina 9. Out of this, up to lamina 6, there will be a dorsal column. Lamina 7 will present in lateral column, while lamina 8 and lamina 9 will present in ventral column. If you see the nuclear division, it will divided into different groups. So one of the cap-like structure will be there. First is a substantia gelatinosa, which form cap-like structure, and it will present somewhere around lamina 2. Above the substantia gelatinosa, there will be the posterior marginal nucleus, which will be present in lamina 1, and it will be very small ridge, and one of the largest nucleus is the nucleus proprius, which extend from lamina 3 to lamina 4. Then come to the dorsal nucleus, which is present somewhere around in lamina 6, and it is also called as a thoracic nucleus or class column, which extend up to C8 to L2 segment, and it also gives the fibers to the pressure sensation and touch sensation, which carries by the dorsal nucleus. Then there will be other nucleus like intermedial nucleus. Okay, intermedial nucleus, then intermedial nucleus, rostromedial nucleus, dorsal lateral nucleus, ventrolateral nucleus, and accessory nucleus, and also phrenic nucleus. They are which this usually present in ventral horn, and that is usually present in lamina 8 and lamina 9. Now, if you see the laminar structure, laminar division of the spinal cord, so dorsal horn will be divided into 1 to 1 to 6, and lamina 1 is usually correspond to posteromedial marginal nucleus, posteromarginal nucleus, while lamina 2 is correspond to substantia gelatinosa. Lamina 3 and 4 is correspond to nucleus prosperius. Lamina 5 is corresponds to the dorsal gray column, and 6 corresponds to the nucleus base of the dorsal gray column, dorsal nucleus. Then lamina 7 is usually from lateral gray horn, and it is usually component of the autonomic neurons. It forms the preganglionic fibers of the autonomic neuron. Then come to lamina 8 and 9. It is usually from the ventral gray horn, and it mostly occupies in the thoracic region of the spinal cord, and it is communication between the vestibulospinal and reticulospinal tract, which involve in a balancing of the body, and some fibers project to the lamina 9. Then come to the lamina 9, which is a connection between motor part, that is alpha motor and gamma motor neurons are synapses in lamina 9, and lamina 10 is usually structure surrounding the gray horn, and it is usually communication between the right side and the left side. Then come to the white matter. White matter is divided by the various sulcuses present on the spinal cord. So there is a long sulcus posteriorly present, that is called posterior median sulcus, or there is a fissure is present on the anteriorly, and that is called anterior median fissure. And these both will divide into spinal cord into right side and the left side. Just before there, these fibers will be there that will form the commissure between the right side and the left side, and the posterior fibers which forms is called posterior commissure, while anterior fibers which form is called anterior wide commissure. Then come to the fasciculus. There will different fasciculus present. So posterior fasciculus will be there, and this portion of the white column is called posterior column section, which divided into two parts by the posterior funiculus. Then there is lateral funiculus, which is made up of both ventral and dorsal gray columns, connected to the ventral and dorsal gray column. Then there will be the anterolateral. This is anterolateral part, and then there will be the anterior fasciculus. So these are more of the motor functions. They are performing more motor functions, while dorsal are more of the sensory tracts. And here also you will find some sensory tracts, while other are maximally motor tracts. Then come to the spinal segments and spinal nerves. So spinal cord is divided into 31 pair of the spinal nerves. 8 will be the cervical, 12 thoracic, 5 lumbar, 5 sacral, and 1 coccygeal nerve. Okay, इसमें कुछ बताने वाला नहीं है डिटेल में. Then come to the structure of the spinal nerve. So spinal nerve is formed with the commission from the dorsal nerve root and ventral nerve root will come together and mix each other and form the proper spinal nerve. So it get a branch from the dorsal nerve root, which has a sensory portion, and it also get a ventral nerve root, which has a motor function. Then it will come and form mixed nerve. So all sensory fibers which come from the body will enter into the spinal cord through dorsal nerve root, and there is an enlargement just before the formation of dorsal nerve root, and that is called dorsal nerve root ganglion. It are the group of the nuclei which present outside the central nervous system, and it receives the information, sensory input from the receptors, and then it sends input to the spinal cord in this dorsal nerve root. And this type of the neurons which present are usually called unipolar neurons, because they got a process, same process, single process of the axon, and goes on the both sides. Okay, then come to the ventral nerve roots. This receives the output from the alpha motor, gamma motor neurons, and those motor nerves will form and mix with the dorsal root and forms a nerve. And this nerve again divided into two parts: dorsal ramus and ventral ramus. This both dorsal ramus and ventral ramus are mixed type of the nerve, so they contain sensory nerve fibers also and motor nerve fibers also. Then come to the functions of spinal cord. अब तक समझ में आया कुछ स्पाइनल कॉर्ड का स्ट्रक्चर?
सर ये जो पिछली आपने लास्ट स्लाइड पढ़ाई है ना, वो इतनी अच्छे से समझ नहीं आई.
ये
यस सर.
this is actually formation of spinal nerve. जो आपके spinal nerve form होते हैं, it is not directly coming from the spinal cord, but there are two branches comes from the spinal cord. One from the anterior side, one from the anterior side and one from the posterior side of the spinal cord. ये जो स्ट्रक्चर आप स्पाइनल कॉर्ड का देख रहे हो, इट इज अ क्रॉस सेक्शन ऑफ द स्पाइनल कॉर्ड. आपका स्पाइनल कॉर्ड से लंबा है, तो इसको हमने क्रॉस सेक्शन जब काटा है.
स्लाइड.
सॉरी, अब फिर से बोलो, आपकी आवाज ब्रेक हो गई थी.
सर आ रही है समझ.
तो क्रॉस सेक्शन स्ट्रक्चर में जो पोस्टेरियरली रूट आता है उसको बोलते हैं हम डॉर्सल नर्व रूट, एंड दे यूजुअली हैज अ सेंसरी इनपुट. सो ऑल जो सेंसरी बॉडी से आता है दैट विल कम टू द नर्व, एंड हियर इट विल डिवाइड इट इन टू पार्ट, एंड इट विल गोज टू द sensory root. Sensory nerves will goes to the dorsal nerve root, and here before entering to the spinal cord, they emerges into one other nuclei. So the sensory nerves is arise like this. This is the sensory nerve, and it goes to the periphery. So it is part of the neuron body. So neuron bodies are not present within the spinal cord, but it is present outside the spinal cord, and that is called dorsal nerve root ganglion, or also many times called as spinal ganglia. So now यहाँ से आएगी, these neurons are usually unipolar neuron, और यहाँ से second axon निकलेगा, and that will goes and synapses with the spinal cord. So that is a part of sensory part. Then if you come to motor part come directly alpha motor neuron यहाँ से निकलेगा, and that will comes directly to the ventral nerve root and mix with the spinal nerve. तो यहाँ पे पूरा मिक्स हो जाएगा and there will be two nerves again formed, that is spinal dorsal ramus and ventral ramus. This dorsal ramus and ventral ramus is just because their anterior and posterior branch is there, but functionally they are same. They both contain sensory and motor nerve fibers. अब समझा?
जी सर.
And this follows completely from cervical spinal cord till the lumbar spinal nerves. इसी तरह से nerve form होते हैं और इसके बाद जब ये dorsal root और बाहर जाएगा, then it forms the brachial flexures, lumbar flexors, or it again mix with the different nerve roots and form one common nerve. That is a different portion. That is a part of the anatomy. So ये ऐसा नहीं कि सिर्फ एक एक nerve निकल गए. These nerves also mix with each other once they come out of the spinal cord. Okay. Now come to the functions of the spinal cord. So spinal cord performs three types of the functions, similar like nervous system, sensory, motor, and autonomic functions. So first we'll talk about the sensory functions. Spinal cord forms the entry point of the all type of the somatic sensations below the neck. Sare cervical, even if you see this lower portion and also occipital region also goes through the cervical. Face छोड़ दिया तो all other body का part of sensation will goes through the spinal cord. Once it comes to the spinal cord and it goes to the post-central gyrus of the spinal cord, it ascends in the spinal cord. So न्यूक्लियस में जाएगा, ग्रे हॉर्न में सिनेप्सिस होगा, सेंसरी इनपुट होगा, and from nucleus next fiber will come and that goes out of the gray horn and arrange themselves into the white matter, and there it goes towards the brain, and that usually forms the posterior side of the spinal cord. That's why they are also called as dorsal column tracts. Okay, and the example of these both tracts are ventral spinothalamic tract and lateral spinothalamic tract, which carries the ventral spinothalamic tract carries touch and tactile sensation, while lateral spinothalamic carries pain and temperature. Then another type of the tract will be there which present and which carries a sensation, that is dorsal column sensation, and that carries touch, tactile, pressure, vibration, and also position sense and sense of the movement. So this dorsal column not only carries a voluntary sensation but involuntary. Right now you are sitting and you know where your hand is, where your nose is, where your ear is, and how fast your hand is moving. All those are involuntarily carried by the dorsal column. So that are present in the posterior portion. So here they are present, dorsal column tract, here lateral spinothalamic tract, and here is ventral spinothalamic tract. Here is somewhere is ventral spinothalamic tract. So this tract will carry sensation to the brain, and this sensation directly doesn't go to the sensory cortex. It goes to the first to the thalamus, and that's why these tracts are called spinothalamic tracts, from spinous to the thalamus, and then from thalamus it goes to the sensory cortex. Then come to the motor functions. The spinal cord again forms the gateway for the output from the brain to the peripheral nervous system, and the tract which carries the voluntary movement action are called pyramidal tract or corticospinal tract. So it comes from the cortex to the spinal cord. That's why name is given corticospinal tract. These are also divided in two portions, ventral and lateral. Apart from this pyramidal tract, it again divided in, there are other tracts which support your voluntary movements, and those tracts are called extrapyramidal tracts. An example of these extrapyramidal tracts are like vestibulospinal, tactospinal, rubrospinal, reticulospinal, oleospinal tract, and this supports your voluntary movement, or it make the corrections of your voluntary movement, or more accurate and more smooth movement is possible because of these extrapyramidal tracts. So with the help of these both pyramidal and extrapyramidal tract, spinal cord perform the function of maintenance of the tone and power of the muscles, even regulation of the movements of the muscles, and then reflexes, and also involved in both deep reflexes and superficial reflexes. Okay, then come to the autonomic functions. As we know, it produces a sympathetic outflow from thoracolumbar region and also sacral output from the S2 to S4 region, that is parasympathetic. By sending these both, it involves in a autonomic functions of the body. So it helps in a regulation of the body temperature, secretions of the various glands, increased activity or decreased activity of the smooth muscle. All those can be done by the spinal cord on its own. It doesn't have to go to the up to the brain. Then another important part of the brain is a brainstem. और spinal cord के इसमें हम डिटेल में फिर से ट्रैक के बारे में जाएंगे. Just now we'll cover up the functions of the important parts of the brain. So then there is another important part of the brain is a brain stem. It is a connection between the medulla oblongata with the main brain. So it forms the gateway of the ascending and descending tracts of the spinal cord. Or apart from this, it also contains the various vital centers which is important for the survival of the life. Example, respiratory centers. It contains both inspiratory and expiratory center and is also responsible for the rhythmic respiration. Though respiration involves voluntary muscles, but it get input from the involuntary centers, and even if you're without your conscious awareness, your respiration will be continuously going on. Then it also contains the cardiac stimulatory, that is vasomotor center, and cardiac inhibitory center, that is cardiac central control, and that regulates the blood pressure and function of the heart. It can increase or decrease the blood pressure or increase or decrease the cardiac activity. Then it also contains the deglutition center, which is responsible for the deglutition reflexes and also responsible for the aphasia or stoppage of the respiration whenever you are in a deglutition. Then it also contains vomiting center and also contain various centers which are related to secretion, controlling the secretion of the saliva and GI tract. So apart from this, this brainstem also houses the nucleus of the various important cranial nerves. So it contains the nucleus of 12th, 11th, 10th, and 8th cranial nerve. So from 8th cranial nerve is for the auditory and vestibular functions. Auditory is for hearing, or vestibular is for the balance or head movement. Then 10th cranial nerve is more of related to sympathetic outflow, vagus nerve. So the parasympathetic outflow. So parasympathetic activity all done through this 10th cranial nerve. Then accessory nerve. This 11th nerve got a component from the cranial and also spinal. So many times it is also called a spinal accessory nerve, and it controls the movement of your shoulder. And 12th cranial nerve is purely motor nerve, and it controls the movement of your tongue. So those are present in the brainstem. Then come to the functions of pons. Pons receives the input from the different area of the brain and also from the spinal cord, analyze it, and it also sends signals to the different part of the brain. So apart from this ascending and descending, it also analyzes and sends to the input to the like a thalamus, hypothalamus, and limbic system also, and it helps in a regulation of the different involuntary functions. It also has a nucleus for the cranial nerve, that is 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th cranial nerve, and it also sends the fibers to the middle lemniscus that forms the nucleus of the 5th, 7th, 9th, and 10th cranial nerves. Apart from this, it also contains the higher center of the respiration, that is pneumotoxic and apneustic center. जो नॉर्मल रेस्पिरेशन है उसमें न्यूमोटॉक्सिक और एपनेस्टिक सेंटर का कोई काम नहीं है, बट व्हेन यू आर टेकिंग forceful respiration or whenever you need more respiration, then pneumotoxic and apneustic center will be play a role to increase the depth and rate of the respiration. Then come to the tract of the spinal cord and brainstem. हम 5 मिनट का ब्रेक लेते हैं, okay, and then we'll continue this.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so now we'll start spinal tracts. or also called as spinal cord, tracts of spinal cord. So tracts means these are the group of the axons which carries information either from the brain to the peripheral nervous system or from peripheral nervous system to the brain. So tract which carries the information from peripheral nervous system to the brains, like they're coming to the spinal cord and then goes up and sends information to the brain. It can be either brainstem, cerebrum or cerebellum, whatever part, but it moving up, and that's why they are called ascending tracts. And information which carries from the brain to the peripheral nervous system means it moving downwards in the spinal cord, and that's why they are called descending tracts. Other classification, ascending tracts are always a sensory type of the tracts, while descending tracts are usually motor type of the tracts. So ascending tracts which comes to the from spinal cord to the cerebral cortex is one group of the ascending tracts. Another group which ends only in the brain stem, another group of the ascending tracts, and one group which goes to the cerebellum. So that is called spinocerebral tracts. Then if you see the descending tracts, they are divided into two parts, pyramidal tracts and extrapyramidal tracts. So first we'll talk about tract which goes to the cerebral cortex. So it forms a posterior column tract, that is a tract of Gall and Bardak, or also called as a fasciculus gracilis and fasciculus cuneatus. Another is spinothalamic tract, that is anterior spinothalamic and lateral spinothalamic tract. So first we'll talk about a fasciculus gracilis and fasciculus cuneatus, or also called as the tract of Gall and Bardak. Gall and Bardak are the scientists who describe this tract. With their name, this has been given. If you see here, fasciculus gracilis is present in more medial process center, and fasciculus cuneatus is more of the lateral function. Functionally, they are similar. Only problem is a site of origin. So fasciculus gracilis and cuneatus, which occupies the posterior part of the spinal cord, white matter in the spinal cord, where the gracilis is situated more medially and cuneatus situated more laterally, and they receive the information from the dorsal root ganglion, and it receives information from the sensory output from the dorsal root ganglion from the first order neuron, and they comes to the lamina 3 and lamina 4 here. So lamina 3 and lamina 4, and from there they form second order neuron and arrange themselves in the posterior portion of the spinal cord, helps to form fasciculus gracilis and fasciculus cuneatus. So if you see fasciculus gracilis are also called as a tract of Gall. G stands for G, tract of Gall. So they immediately forms in medial portion and forms the medial fibers and goes upward. And if you see, they are arranged themselves in a systematic manner, laminar manner. So lower fibers will arrange themselves in a medial portion, and as it goes upward, they start arranging themselves in the laterally. So tract of Gall and Bardak will receive the fibers from the coccygeal, sacral, then lumbar and lower thoracic part of the body. So lower body carries the information with the fasciculus gracilis or tract of Gall, while upper portion from upper thoracic region, that is upper half of the body and limbs, will carries by the tract of Bardak or fasciculus cuneatus, and that lies more laterally in the tract. From the spinal cord, they arise into posterior white fasciculus and reach to the medulla. Once they reach to the medulla, these fibers are terminated into nucleus gracilis and nucleus cuneatus respectively. So fasciculus gracilis will terminate into nucleus gracilis, while fasciculus cuneatus will terminate into nucleus cuneatus. Okay, and from there, from there, it goes there and arrange themselves in the medial lemniscus. The second order arrange themselves in the medial lemniscus, which is present somewhere around here in the midline. So here in the pons, they form themselves in the medial lemniscus. From the medial lemniscus, the third order, from the medial lemniscus, it goes to the thalamus, and the thalamus they forms third order neuron. In thalamus, They located themselves into sensory neurons, and from there, through the internal capsule, third order neuron will form and they'll spread through the sensory cortex. It is uh, from the nucleus internal capsule. They are very compact nature, and then they will spread into the sensory cortex. So this is a sensory cortex, and since they're spreading like a radiation, they're also called as a corona radiata, and it goes to the cerebral cortex. So third order neuron will arise from the thalamus. Second order neuron will arise from the spinal cord. Okay, and this is how it will reach to the cerebral cortex. And when it is going through the thalamus, the sensory input also modified in the thalamus. Notice the function of this posterior column or medial lemniscus pathway or tract of Gallen-Barda. It carries a variety of component sensations. Start with a deep touch and pressure. It also carries the sensation of fine touch. Fine touch means when you will touch, you will understand the intensity of the touch, you will understand the location of the touch, and it also how much area of the touch has been area of the skin has been touched. So all those things will be uh, understand and come in the component of the fine touch. That is called localize where it touch. So tactile localization will be there, where exact point which part of the body is touched, and then tactile discrimination where how much area has been touched. So we can discriminate between the 2 points. अलग अलग छोटे points अगर हम अलग touch करते हैं तो that also carries. Apart from this, it also carries the stereognosis sensation. That is, you will able to identify the object just by touching without seeing it. That mechanism is called stereognosis. That also sensation carries by the posterior column. Apart from that, it also carries the involuntary sensation of proprioceptive sensations. That is sense where my body is placed in this universe. That sense of the body position is also carried by the posterior column. Then vibration sensation is also carried by the posterior column. Okay, so that's all of the functions. So when a damage occur to this posterior column, so all this sensation can lost. But when you see the damage, if it is from the inside to outside, then the lower portion sensation will lost first, and outer portion, upper portion will lost later. Or if injury occur from the outside to inside, then upper portion function will lost first, and lower portion function will lost later. So depend upon the how depth of the injury and at what side of the injury occur, different area of the body will be affected. Then come to the anterior and lateral spinothalamic tracts. These spinal thalamic tract arrange themselves into anterior white fasciculus, anterior spinal thalamic tract, and lateral spinal thalamic tract arrange themselves into lateral funiculus, white funiculus on the middle side. Then it arises from the chief sensory cells of the axon from the posterior gray horn, and from where the secondary order neuron will be started. First order neuron will come from the spinal ganglia to the chief sensory cells in the spinal cord. Okay, then it receives the information from the cuneatus receptors, and then it goes arise and terminate into chief sensory cell of the spinal gray matter. So this is how the information comes from outside. And first it forms the sensory ganglia, then it goes to the chief sensory cell which present here, and the second order neuron will come, and then it goes to the opposite side of the spinal cord, and the rest, if you see the tract of Gallen-Barda, it remain on the same side and it terminates somewhere around medulla. But here it will remain on immediately once it comes to the spinal cord, immediately it goes towards the opposite side and arrange themselves into the lateral space. So lateral spinothalamic tract comes through the posterior commissure, while the anterior spinothalamic tract comes through the anterior commissure, and they arrange themselves together. And if you see this essential anterior spinothalamic tract ascends a little bit above 2-3 segment in the same side, and then it goes towards the opposite side, while anterior spinothalamic tract will immediately cross. Lateral spinothalamic tract will immediately cross after termination on the same side. 90% fibers will goes towards the 90% fibers will goes towards the lateral spinothalamic tract, and only 10% will be there in the anterior spinothalamic tract. And once they reach to the brain, they form the spinal lemniscus into the brainstem or in medulla, and from the medulla it goes towards the thalamus and forms a third order neuron in the thalamus. Their major function is they carry crude touch and the pressure, while lateral spinothalamic tract carries pain and temperature. So anterior carries crude touch and the pressure, while lateral spinothalamic tract carries pain and temperature sensation. Then come to the dorsolateral spinothalamic tract. This is also called as a fasciculus dorsolateralism or tract of Leger. And they formed from the fiber from the posterior root ganglion, and it is located in the lateral white column of the spinal cord. And it carries sensation. It carries sensation from the skin, mainly pain and temperature. Then come to the spinocervical thalamic tract, where they arise from the scar located in the lamina 3 and 4, and it goes through the dorsolateral fasciculus and end into lateral cervical nucleus, and this carries the sensation of touch, pressure, pain, and temperature from the upper body. Then come to the ascending tract, which ends into the brainstem, that is spino-reticular tract. This tract arises from the lamina 7, and it goes above and synapses with the reticular part of the brain, and their main function is arising system. So when you're pain and all those things, it maintain your arousal or alertness. That is the main function of the spino-reticular tract. I will not go in detail about these tracts. You can read it later because it's more of the anatomical parts. So, but I will talk more about the functions. Then come to the spinotectal tract. These tracts are usually located in the lateral part of the white fasciculus, and they arises from the chief sensory cell in the posterior gray column, and it goes above and goes to the reticular part of the midbrain and also to the superior colliculus, that is called tectum of the brain, and these are more concerned about the spino-visual reflexes, and it also carries slow pain. Then come to the spino-olivary tract. This tract arises from the different areas of the spinal cord. Exactly, we doesn't know. And then they cross opposite side of the spinal cord, and then they terminate into olivary nucleus of the medulla. And their main function is about the proprioception, so unconscious awareness of the body position. Then come to the spinocerebellar tract. These are 4 tracts: ventrospinocerebellar tract, dorsospinocerebellar tract, cuneo-spinocerebellar tract, and rostrospinocerebellar tract. So if you come to the ventrospinocerebellar tract, it is located in the lateral white fasciculus of the spinal cord, and it arises from the ventral Grover's tract. It arises from the lamina 5, 6, and 7 of the dorsal column, and it carries the information from the various segments of the muscles, how much the position and contraction or movement of the muscles occur, and those goes to the posterior root ganglia. These impulses carries to the upper centers of the cerebellum, and it sends the about lower limbs of the cerebral cortex, and it sends the information about position of the various part of the body, and also during the voluntary action, what movements are occurring on the body, and also how much tension is produced on the muscle tone, how much tone has been produced by the muscles. So all those length of the muscle, tone of the muscles, and also position of the muscle, all those sensation goes to the cerebellum, and cerebellum will process the sensations and modify the voluntary movement. Then dorsal spinocerebellar tract, it also similarly it comes, but it is on the dorsal side or anterior side of the, sorry, posterior side of the body. They arrange themselves in the posterolateral part of the lateral funiculus, and they arises from the posterior nerve root ganglion and goes to the muscle spindle. This is fibers from the similarly muscle spindle, Golgi tendon organ, and proprioceptors of the body, and it goes upward like similar like that of the ventral spinal thalamic tract, but it is uncrossed. Ventral spinal tract is crossed. These are uncrossed. These remain on the same side and reach to the inferior cerebral peduncle, and through the inferior cerebral peduncle it terminates into anterior lobe of the cerebellum. Then come to cuneocerebral tract. This also arises from the accessory cuneatus nucleus of the medulla, and from the second order from this accessory cuneatus nucleus, and terminate into same side of the cerebellum to the inferior cerebral peduncle. And their function is it carries the conscious proprioception of the upper limb. Then come to rostral spinocerebral tract. This origin, the tract believed to arise from the lower cervical segments, that is usually from the lamina 7, and this also receives the information from the Golgi tendon organ, muscle spindle, and proprioception, and this fiber goes to the inferior and superior cerebral peduncles, and it related to the upper limb function of the voluntary movement of the upper limb. So these are major ascending tracts where you can go and read and see the different functions. It is easy to remember from this chart. I guess we almost over time. Should I start descending tract? सब सो गए?
नो सर, बहुत काफी है सर ये।